Hello, everyone. We've got a few new faces in here that I haven't seen for a minute. Welcome. My name is Katie. I am SAI's digital marketing and social media coordinator. I am also a SAI alum. I studied in spring 2017 in Florence, so I do know a full semester program situation. I've also learned a lot from all of our previous students in the past 4 years, so I can update from 10 years ago of information about budgeting. And with us, we have previous SCI ambassador, previous SCI intern, current SCI staff member, Brett. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so today our theme for the this today's panel is how to budget for your term abroad. Um, we if one of our other alumni is able to join, we might get a little pop in from him as well. But Brett, can you tell me a little bit about your time abroad?
Sure. My time abroad, I studied in spring of 2023 in Florence with the Florence University of the Arts. Pretty much spent most of my time traveling around the country of Italy. I never left Italy. So in terms of budgeting, kind of what came from that is how much does a round trip train ticket cost? Pretty much anywhere from Como to Milan down to the Amalfi Coast. Pretty much what did the train cost was really my most expensive thought. And then, of course, Airbnbs and stuff like that. But for the most part, traveled different soccer games, just trying to experience the culture of Italy itself, opposed to just, passport stamping. But that's, something I've started to do now that I've traveled back to Europe multiple times since graduation.
Absolutely. That's the best part.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, the digital stamps aren't as fun, but I
No,
get
they're not. They're not.
it.
I'm traveling with a different passport, so they didn't even give me digital stamps. So I just, I walk through the line a lot quicker. But other than
That's
that,
true.
there's no real evidence of me being there.
Photos.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, okay, cool. Well, could you give me three? We'll just all focus on budgeting in particular, since that's what everything about is about for this one. So if there's one thing, one budgeting tip in general that you would give someone, just a basic one, what would you say about before they head abroad?
I would say you're not going to have every single weekend trip planned. You're going to end up meeting your roommates, you're going to end up meeting friends, and you're going to realize, oh, I want to do this with you, I want to do that with you, I want to go to these places I never even heard of. Um, so it's hard to necessarily, plan out everything in advance with a budget.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, my biggest thing would say plan week by week. How much do you spend a week at your university at home? Now factor in, what does a burger cost? What does pizza cost? What does going out 2 or 3 nights a week for dinner cost? And then how much do you think it would cost in America to shop once or twice a week to cook meals? Um, I'd say you definitely want to look and balance that. Uh, I will say on the American dollar, it's a lot cheaper to both eat out as
Yeah.
well as shop in Italy, in Spain, in France. So you're essentially just going to look at, well, while I'm actually in the city during the week because you're taking classes, all that, what plan essentially how you're going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then that allows you, so if you're going to eat out every single night of the week, you're going to eat out every single night of the week. No, it's going to be more expensive than staying in and cooking,
Absolutely.
essentially. Much like
Especially depending
that,
on where you live in the city. If
100%.
you're gonna go eat out more in the more touristy areas, it's gonna be a little more expensive, just like it would be here in more touristy areas. Um, yeah, I agree. I definitely grocery shopped every day.
Yeah, that's another thing.
I tried to go out to eat. Um, I reserved it for like once during the week and then once on the weekends, basically, not
Mhm.
school nights. I told myself school nights I would not eat out. But that varied if I was traveling or if it was a break or, you know, I,
Definitely.
gelato was not in my food budget. It was just a thing that was purchased.
That's a sweet little treat. You can never plan on a sweet little treat.
But one of my friends and I, we literally would would leave class and go get gelato on our way home from school every
That's
day,
fantastic.
every
I miss
week.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I said that, oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
that does kind of bring in as well. For me, I know personally, when it came to shopping for my food for the week, I stayed in an apartment with five other
Mm-hmm.
students. So when it does come to shopping for the week, as well as when it comes to the budget of that, your fridge is small, your freezer is even smaller, most
Mm-hmm.
likely compared to what you might have here in the States.
Freezer's so
So
small.
it's mind-boggling. So what I would say is if all of your roommates are going to want to cook chicken for the week, have someone buy one big thing of chicken week by week by week or when you need it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need four different types of chicken for four different roommates. You can
Totally.
share the chicken. It save the space, save the money. If the person bought chicken this week, maybe you buy them a burger while you're out.
Totally.
It's easier
Mm-hmm.
way to kind of keep tabs on if you're traveling together and like if you're eating together. It's the easiest way to do it. You don't have a lot of space, so that's honestly a budgeting piece as well. Budget for the space that you have. You don't have a lot of it.
Absolutely. Um, if you could go back, you probably are going to go back at some point for vacation, but if you
December.
could go back for an extended period of time, how would you budget differently for this time around?
That's a great question because I think I budgeted relatively well for what I knew I wanted to do
Sure.
because I had been to to Florence specifically multiple times beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of knew what the costs were. I would say I would try to save a little bit more so I can, I don't know, do more on like go to maybe slightly farther places on the weekend.
Yeah.
So, some more of those niche kind of local trains, stuff like that. Um, but other than that, I mean, I would say maybe budget for one additional dinner out at like a
Mm-hmm.
nicer restaurant. There's something that I crave more than anything in Florence is the bistecca alla fiorentina. You look
Mm-hmm.
at it and it's like, I think at the moment, like 45 euros a kilo, which
Yeah.
feeds 2 to 3 people. That seems cheap,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do that every night, despite
Mm-hmm.
me really
I
wanting
mean, I
to.
just paid $13 yesterday for a steak
Yeah.
to make it at home, and I'm like, that.
Yeah.
Come on, and it was definitely not that big.
No, exactly. It's like one of those, if I could change something, I would make sure that I can afford to do that at least once a week, even if I don't do it once a week. I think that
Totally.
kind of having that little pad of luxury, especially, when it comes to, oh no, I have to buy another suitcase because I decided to buy too many soccer jerseys, or I bought a really big
Clothes.
shearling coat and now I need another suitcase. Suitcases aren't cheap.
I
Just remember
will
that.
mention on the budgeting front, as we talk about buying things for a moment, January, especially if you're a spring study abroad student, January is sale time. So be prepared. my my roommate, luckily we lived an hour apart back in the States because my parents, I was fortunate enough, they were able to come visit me while I was abroad. So I sent them they brought an empty suitcase and I sent them with a bunch of stuff home that I didn't, all of my winter gear basically, they took home with me for me so that I could get other things if I wanted to in my last few weeks. Well, that didn't happen because my roommate, um, she bought so many winter coats that she didn't have room in her suitcase. And I was like, you live in San Francisco, you don't need more than like two. um, but she bought so much stuff during the sales that they were just too good of a deal to pass up. I ended up taking them home for her so that she had room in her suitcase, because I didn't end up buying very many big bulky things for my souvenirs at the end of the semester. So um, if you are planning on purchasing, just a heads up that January is sale season, for all of the winter sales. Um, a lot of students would say that they would create an Excel spreadsheet to be able to track their costs a little more easily. I very much am the type of person, this doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but if I have cash, that's my physical amount of money. That's all the money I have. I don't look at my credit card or my bank statement as if it's an actual. When I studied abroad was I went to the bank and I pulled out a certain amount of cash every week or every 2 weeks, and that was my money that I had for that time frame. If I was budgeting, I pulled out a certain amount of money for when I would travel in that currency. I would then go to a bank when we got there to pull that out in that currency if we needed to. I think the big difference between you and I did a lot of external Italy travel and you did more internal Italy travel. So that'll be very beneficial for people who, if they have questions about traveling on a budget for that as well. Um,
I will
and
say on top of that,
yeah,
when you take that cash out, you don't have to worry about a transaction fee on
correct.
every single purchase. Sometimes there's,
Correct.
credit cards that don't have them, certain debit cards. And if that's the case, if you know you're going to be spending a lot of money, maybe look
Mm-hmm.
into one of those. But yeah, no, taking the cash out, you pay that fee once and
This
that money's yours. Like it's,
Yeah, this last time I went, I didn't use I used my card for most of it and I pulled out cash for I think I pulled out $200 in cash or 200 euros in cash just because I was like, I don't, this is a safe number that I know I'll be able to. I was only there for a week. So I was like, I know I'll be able to spend it in this amount of time. Um, but that also did help give me a little more of a mindset of like, no, you're actually okay. If you need to, you can spend more.
yeah.
Um, so, what you said something to splurge on would be more little luxuries like a nicer meal, etc. Do you have anything else that you would probably splurge on?
I think looking back, I would probably want to budget more for like more soccer matches and more soccer
Mm-hmm.
jerseys. I mean, that as I assume it's been documented on my own social media as well as now the SAI social media. My love for that sport, and
Yep.
I pretty much happened while I was out there. And so I think kind of being able to have the luxury of saying, "Oh, I'm going to Bologna. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
if there's a match in town." Tickets aren't that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But if I wanted a ticket, a scarf, and a jersey, the above and beyond souvenir, so to speak,
Sure.
I'm now out almost, 250 euros. And that doesn't include
Yeah.
anything else. So, like, while the tickets are cheaper than an American sport, it's something that you do have to think about, right? And so I would say that would
That's where they
probably
make
be
their
the
money
biggest
is
thing.
on the merch. Come on.
Exactly. Exactly. Because, I mean, tickets I
And
remember
food.
for Fiorentina were like 13 euros.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even imagine doing that in America. That would be crazy.
Maybe a soccer match. Maybe.
Maybe. Atlanta United is not
That's
cheap. I
it.
will tell you that right now. Oof.
I don't think Nashville SC are that cheap, but I
It's
can't
not.
imagine they are.
No.
Um, I personally would say maybe paying the extra $15 for a better flight time so that you're
Hmm.
not traveling in the middle of the night or leaving super early in the morning or whatever you might need to be. Um, if you do not feel comfortable, if you are traveling alone, do not go to the hostel. Just spend the extra money and live in the hotel.
Yeah, I would agree with you on
Just
that.
take your safety into precaution. I traveled with a group of 6 girls. We all stayed at a hostel. We were fine with that because we were had a big group. Um, but if you really want and you are not comfortable with strangers of a lot of different nationalities, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just take yourself into your safety into consideration.
That extra
I
10 euros a
also,
night, it's worth your
yeah,
comfort. It's worth your comfort.
um, I would say something that was not worth splurging on was picking a seat on flight.
Hmm.
You don't need it. You're gonna get there one way or another. It doesn't matter.
And every flight, for the most part, is going to be at most, what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, at
You just
most, yeah.
endured a 7 hour plus flight to get to Europe. You'll be fine with the
Mm-hmm.
with the window seat for, 45 minutes. I will say that does remind me, and maybe I guess maybe the wrong panel for this, but when it comes to budgeting pre-trip, if you know that you're planning on traveling, taking a lot of flights,
Mm-hmm.
EasyJet, Ryanair, all of these,
Mm-hmm.
the Wizz Air, they all have very strict carry-on policies. So
Yes.
maybe look into what those are. For the most part, they all kind of fall into the same category. But budget for maybe buying either a bag in like on location
Hmm.
or before you leave if you don't want to like pack it and kind
Hmm.
of use
If
space
you
for that in
are
your suitcase.
on that note too, if you're looking for new luggage and you need new luggage for your time abroad, and you've decided that's what I'm gonna make a big luggage purchase for, just buy the European size
Yeah,
because
it's
you
made for that.
it's made for it. So you're gonna be able to travel easily throughout your time, but then you're also gonna be able to use that just fine here. And when you go back, you don't have to get any more luggage.
Very true.
um, just bought new European size carry-on and backpack for it, and it was a combo purchase um, because they went together. Um, and I'm like, oh, I can fit so much stuff in just these two bags. I'm now using these for every trip across the country that I need to go to.
Exactly.
Um, okay, incredible. We will talk more about traveling for sure on Wednesday. But I know we do have some questions specifically about traveling. Um, what should I budget in terms of domestic travel versus international travel? I know you mentioned that earlier in the day, but earlier today, but I just wanted to know if you had any suggestions on that in
Yeah.
general.
I would say just know that your domestic travel is very likely going to be cheaper than your
Mm-hmm.
international travel. Well, you might see, you know, 100 euros round trip that can be sitting in first class from Florence to Milan, a 3.5 hour long train ride, compared to, let's say, first class on a flight from, let's go equidistance,
Mm-hmm.
Florence to Morocco, let's just say.
Sure.
Um, it's going to be more expensive, right? It's going to be more expensive. So I was going to say,
Yeah.
if you have the idea that, like for me, I knew I never wanted to leave Italy when I studied abroad. My whole
Mm-hmm.
point was to be in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had to budget for flights outside of getting there and getting home. So when it comes down to it, I guess you have to look at, kind of brings me back to what I said in the beginning of, before you leave, look into kind of the areas you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if you decide that you want to travel every weekend via airplane, just be prepared to, 100, 200 euros or dollars, I guess, in this scenario, um, a weekend on just flights. Because flights are cheap compared to,
Yeah.
flying anywhere in America, but it still is a cost and it still is the
Yeah.
most expensive option to get to the places you need to go.
Yeah, I agree. Um, no matter what, domestically, train travel is going to be cheaper than flights for the most part,
Hmm.
depending on how quickly you book them. Um, on that same note, we just got a question. How early would you recommend booking as far as flights and hotels to budget best?
Um, so I guess if you're flying, I would suggest, if you have the trip,
I'd say about a month.
yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of, I think for me at least, I lived kind of day by day while I was in
Mm-hmm.
Florence. Like I had my ideas of, oh, I'm going to go to Lucca this weekend. I'm going to go to Milan this weekend because I had things planned there for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like going to Fashion Week up there. I knew I was going to that because I had things to
Mm-hmm.
do. So I guess it really depends on if you're like dead set on going to these places.
Yeah.
So I would say a month in advance. If you know that you want to go to Santorini or you want to go to um, Dublin for St. Patrick's Day, book
Yeah.
now
Yeah, book that
because you're
now.
not going to find a hotel and you're
Because
not
here's the
going to find a
thing.
flight. Like,
Dublin for St. Patrick's Day, Germany for specific events in the fall, like things, especially and even Christmas markets, things like that. You're gonna find people who will want to go with you. So
yeah.
just book the flight, and then if someone wants to go with you, they'll just book the same flight.
Hmm.
It's gonna be
This
it.
like as
Um,
long as you have the ability to essentially lock down, really when it comes
yeah.
to like the high demand places to be, like St. Patrick's Day, like Springfest, whatever it may be, the hotel is going to be the
Hmm.
most important part. I mean, it's
Yeah.
possible to take a train to Germany.
Yes.
Is it the most
I
efficient?
did a bus
No. Yeah, it's like I've
twice.
taken trains to France from Italy. Like you can cross borders on a train. It just will not be your most efficient option.
Yeah.
and it honestly might not be the cheapest option. But it is always an
Now,
option unless
for
you're like,
spring break, I will say I did. Once you get abroad, I'm going to preface this now. Once you get abroad, you're going to be inundated. You're going to make one post on Instagram and you're going to get 3 followers within, I don't know, a week of people who work for companies that are college students or post grad working for these companies, basically getting study abroad students to travel with them. I did multiple trips with them. They were fine. No concerns there. It is bus travel. Just giving you that heads up. And now, do I regret my basically $1,000 for a bus trip and hostel stays for 10 days in 5 cities? Not at all. Do I wish that I had flown and had a hotel that I could just crash and not sleep on a bus? Yes.
it's the
But
ebb
so
and
it's really
flow.
just depends on what it is for you. Now, would I have been able to do 5 cities in 10 days for $1,000 again? No.
No.
So just kind of take that into consideration when you are looking into traveling, when it comes to flights, hotels, etc. But
Yeah.
then also at the same time, regional trains are gonna be a heck of a lot cheaper. It also depends on the airport that you are flying in and out of. The Florence airport, for example, is not a very large airport, so things are gonna be a little bit more expensive for it compared to Rome or Paris or Milan or Barcelona, that are very large airports and have a lot of flights coming in and out of them all the time.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, can I add
Yeah, go
something
ahead.
to like that college student kind of excursion package company thing?
Yes.
I also did a handful of
That's
them
the
while I was
greatest
abroad.
way to describe that.
I would say without, name dropping anyone specifically. Um,
Hmm.
that's not an ad.
Hmm.
We I did multiple of them. And in terms of budgeting, they're likely going to be cheaper, as Katie said, than planning this trip yourself. If
Mm.
you're not incredibly, if for myself, I know what I like to do when I go places, but I don't have anything planned out. I know my
Hmm.
general idea of what I want to see. I'll go and see it, and then I'll go home.
If you want to go do like a walking tour
Yeah,
and just explore a city, great.
solo do that, or with your friends do that. But if you have like, I'm not gonna say like you don't have the ability to, but if you're not good at planning a weekend, especially in a foreign country, these trips are perfect because they give you the options of, here's what we're doing, here's what you can do in addition, here's where we're staying. In my opinion, the hardest things are done
Hmm.
for you. And that there, you got your weekend planned, you have the dates, you have everything. And I think and again, it's cheaper than doing it yourself if you did the exact same things, without having to spend the budget, the time. You see another budget word, budget the time essentially into planning it. So I think, that's definitely a great option to look at.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rely on them for everything,
Yes.
but because it's going to be busier than every other trip you might take. But you also have now built-in friends. I'm still really close friends with my
Yep.
friends I did that with. So, and I never met them before I got on the bus. So it worked out really well.
Hmm. I also figured out what melatonin was in
There you go.
multiple different languages just to be able to find it at pharmacies to
Yeah,
sleep on the bus.
just walk in. I need this. I
We
just
figured it out. Okay, on the money front, were there any things that were noticeably cheaper or more expensive than back home? A lot of people regularly just say grocery store groceries, much cheaper than here. Going out, a little bit more, just because it is very touristy locations. Depends on where you go. Depends
yeah.
on if you find a um, hole in the wall Nona and Nono run shop.
I was say it's definitely. I'm gonna throw the overarching everything is cheaper,
Yeah,
especially in Spain and Italy. France and
depending.
Paris, you're gonna probably be more on par with the US
Uh-huh.
dollar. Um, I look at it as for the people there, it's about the same as what things here cost for us.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing is ever cheaper, so to speak. But going to the grocery store, you can get a half pound of ground veal
Mm-hmm.
for like €5.
Mm-hmm. You can
When
go
are
to the
you eating
market and
ground
get
veal
something
for
from a
€5?
farm.
Yeah, the produce is going to, even if it costs the same as if you go to Publix or Winn-Dixie, or I'm just naming
Mm-hmm.
Southern brands. If you go to these places, the produce might cost the same in Italy, in Spain, in
Yeah.
France, but it's going to be so much fresher. You're going to be able to tell the difference. You're going to be willing to spend the money on it, even though you don't necessarily have to. You know,
Yeah.
my one of my go-to snacks was just eating a block of Parmesan cheese and prosciutto
Same.
because it was €4. Like,
Same. We
like
regularly, like, I would buy Parmesan to put on my pasta, and one of my roommates she came home and she's like, oh, I got some Parmesan. I was like, you could use mine. She's like, no, and she just cut off a chunk and ate it, and that's what we were doing for most of it. Actually,
it's a
it is
guilty
a
pleasure.
great protein bar.
It is. It is. And it's cheap. That's you see, so that's the thing. You can definitely go about, like, if you're going
Mm-hmm.
and buying chips and candy and
Mm-hmm.
chocolate and all that, if you're going out for the gelato, that stuff adds up.
Yeah.
But for your weekly shop, for when you go out to dinner with friends, sometimes they won't split the bill. Kind of depends, I guess, if
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's a local restaurant. Um, I remember for me, I stayed right above a restaurant that I went to once a week
Mm-hmm.
because we just became really close with the owners. They pretty
Mm-hmm.
much slashed the coperto, which is the seating fee, that free water, things, and we were
Yeah.
welcomed there like family. So it
Well, you
made
got
it
free
easier to
water.
go there.
Lucky.
Oh, it was fantastic because you bring out, like, I think we
Yeah.
maybe
If
had
you've
10
never
bottles of
been, you
water.
have to pay for water in Europe.
Mhm.
So just a heads up there.
Yeah. It's something that eventually, after like the first week, it'll get in the back of your head. You're like, all right, I can deal with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, you might resent it a little bit, but you'll deal with it. But so, like, stuff like that, I think it's definitely going to be cheaper in your mind. Like you
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, I can get a carbonara and a bottle of water, like a full meal essentially, for the cost of an appetizer in my home state.
Yeah,
You know, it's going to be cheaper. It 100% will. Um,
absolutely.
so honestly, I would say budget like you're eating in America in terms of cost,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes you feel like you're saving money. Even if you really aren't,
Absolutely.
then you're like, oh, well, I budgeted $500 for eating this week. I only spent 250. I now have $250 to spend on this weekend that I didn't have previously. That's kind of how I budgeted, and it worked out well. Especially because then you start to appreciate the things that are, you know, a little bit more expensive. You know, you say, all right, so this burger that I had is 20
Mm-hmm.
euros. How is this any better?
Yeah.
It is. It is better. Like that's the kind of stuff like that. If you budget and thinking that you're going to go in spending a lot more money, and I'm not saying carry a wad of cash around with you. Don't
Yeah.
do don't do that.
No.
But what I'm saying is be prepared to spend $40 or €40 at a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant and be pleasantly surprised when it's 22. It's
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. I think that that's your big thing. Know things are going to be cheaper, but don't expect them to be cheaper.
Yeah, I agree. On the cash note,
Yes.
how much cash should a student bring with them? Or is it just straight up worth charging on the credit card?
I guess it really depends on I guess it depends. If you have no credit card fee, like any like international
If you
fee,
don't have a credit card fee, use it.
yeah, I was gonna say use the credit
Get them
card everywhere.
points.
Be the person that buys everything and takes the Venmos, the Zelles, the PayPals. Get your points. Do what you got to do.
Yeah,
That being said, I don't carry cash around back home,
I don't
so I
either.
didn't really carry cash around out there. In fact, I remember whenever I needed cash, it was either go to my roommates to ask if they had any, they never did, or go to one of my classmates that I was closer with and ask them and then Venmo them for
Mm-hmm.
it. Because it was usually only in, 5, 10 euros at a time. I'm not gonna go to the ATM to take out 10 euros.
Sure.
I do that. So I would say though, if you do tend to use cash more, if you do use that kind of like you did as kind of your budgeting for
Yeah.
a week, I would say always have maybe 25, 30 euros on you in cash. It doesn't take up a lot of room in your wallet.
No.
Maybe have three or four
Keep a
euro
couple
coins.
of euros just in coins alone. Um, yep, exactly. Keep a couple just in coins alone on hand because public restrooms, you usually have to pay for them.
Indeed.
So, and if not just for that, just for like, a quick snack or something that you can
Exactly.
find on the side of the road. Because, uh, you know, an espresso is like €2 in some places. So, you're gonna be okay. Just keep a couple on hand for when you do need something or need to run into the bathroom or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, okay, roughly how much do you think you spent per week on average, if you can remember? Because I do not.
I was gonna say we're starting to get into the point where I
I
probably don't remember
can
as much.
say one of our students did let me know from the spring. She was in Barcelona. She spent about €75 a week, um, not including any trips. It was about 40 euro on food and about 35 40 on fun stuff. So that's roughly what she did. Um, she was also eating in every week, unless she went out. That she budgeted that into the fun factor. Um,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
say I was probably around
I think I spent about 100.
100, 150 because I cooked. I wouldn't say I cooked a lot, but I cooked at least one
I
or two
made
meals a week.
sure breakfast and dinner, breakfast, at least two of my meals were inside, were at home.
Yeah.
If if I was, if I was really hungry on my way home, I stopped and grabbed a sandwich and just kept threw it in my bag and kept walking,
Yeah. I was
kind
gonna
of
say
thing.
I budgeted breakfast since I don't. I said that I feel like I'm the worst person to ask because I don't eat breakfast. So like it's 2 meals a day essentially.
I just did
I
cereal. Let's be
Yeah,
real. In Italy, breakfast is a
fruit.
pastry
Yeah,
and fruit.
and an espresso.
So yeah, so you don't really have too much. Lunch is the big meal in Italy. Um, in Granted, dinners can be pretty large as well. Um, in so yeah, it just depends on you and how much you eat. Take basically what I say is don't you give yourself some grace the first few weeks because you don't know what you're gonna do just yet.
And also, I would say,
You still have to find your local grocery. You gotta figure out which one you like best. There was a Conad literally steps away from my apartment, so that's where I shopped. But some people liked going to the market more. It just depends on you and what you like to shop at. How did you split or track any shared costs with your roommates and travel friends?
I
A
would
lot of
say
people use Venmo.
yes. And Venmo was the. I know now Venmo does like
There's
so you
also
can
an
say like
app that you can
budget.
split stuff,
Yeah, like you
kind of
can
thing.
split it now. For the most part, in kind of like what I do with my friends even now, it's kind of like on the arm. It's like if I
Hmm.
pick up dinner here, if it's not super expensive, then you'll pick up dinner tomorrow or you'll pick up
Yep.
lunch. Oh, I got the chicken this week. You get the cheese and the seasonings and like stuff like
Hmm.
that. I mean, for the most part, it all kind of came out in the wash for us. Like if we were traveling, it was, we all paid for our own train tickets. Or you
Yeah.
Venmo me for the train ticket, something that's very set in stone. Unless it was, oh, I know I'm going to these three places with y'all. You get this one, I get this
Hmm.
one, I get this, or you get this one. So like I guess it really depended on what we were doing, but for the most part, it was I'll cover this one, you got me for the
Hmm.
next one. Just it made it easier. Honestly, there was no real dispute in, hey, you still owe me like $5. Like I'll buy I'll
$5
buy
is $5 at the end
I'll
of the
buy
day,
you a
guys.
sandwich. Right? I'll buy you a panino. Like that works for me.
Exactly. Um, One of our students did mention to me earlier that she used Venmo to request each other for travel. But then they all brought their own food when it came to food while they were traveling or while they were at home. Um, is there, no, we already covered that question
Here,
of if there's
can I
anything you wish.
bounce for 1 second?
Yes,
1 second, thank you.
you are all good. Okay. Let's see. Owen, you sent in a question. Should you always reference the U.S. travel advisory map when going country to country? Yes, we definitely recommend to reference it just purely out of your own safety. Um, so yeah, you definitely just keep it in mind of the travel advisories across the board. And we will always keep you up to date with things as well, especially safety wise. Okay, budgeting as far, let's step away from the food for a moment. Budgeting as far as textbooks. Should we buy them in advance or do you buy them there?
I'm trying to think if any of my also, can you hear me now? Am
Yeah,
I back? All right, cool. See, I'm trying to think back. As far as I can remember, none of my classes in Florence had textbooks. Um, that
mine,
being,
if they did, I either bought the book there
mhm.
because they gave me where to go buy it, or, um, which I think was like my Italian American history course that I took. I just went and bought the book there, which I still have, which is so cool that I still have it now that I think about it. I don't know where
It's
it
a
is
fun
though.
souvenir.
Um, and then other than that, if it was a specific book, I got the ebook
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say,
just did it off of my computer or my phone.
yeah, I was gonna say the ebook, the PDF.
Well, I used my computer, not my phone for that when I was there because I didn't have an iPad at the time.
I was gonna say if you have any classmates, I mean, you'll have the syllabuses beforehand
Yeah,
to know, much like a regular college course.
yeah.
Also, most of the professors, all of them for the most part, know you're a study abroad student. They know
Mm-hmm.
why you're there. They know what you're doing there. So you're not going to have to necessarily carry around 45 textbooks to and from
Mm-hmm.
classes every single day. You're not. They'll have the resources. A lot of them will
A
do,
lot
or
of
at
them
least
will
have the places to get
actually,
them.
yeah, a lot of them will actually give, like, even the PowerPoints, they will upload it and email it out. So you'd have the PowerPoint saved to your computer as well.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, so you definitely do not have to worry. It's fully up to you on if you buy them in advance or if you buy them there. One of my books, I didn't know if I needed to get it, if it was like official that I needed to get it or not. And then when I got there, they were like, if you want it, it's here. It's a history book. And I was like, I should probably get it because it's a history book. That kind of thing. Incredible. Okay. What is the cheapest and safest way to travel to different countries?
I would say to different countries.
Yeah, different countries. I would say flying.
I would say, yeah, flying most certainly, unless it's like you're studying in Milan and you want to go to Austria or
Yeah,
Germany or
then just take the
Switzerland
train.
or France, take the train because it's right there.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of cost, though, I still feel like flying is probably the flights are cheap. Everywhere you
Mm-hmm.
go, their flights are going to be cheap. Where they get you is paying to check your bag or paying the oversized bag fees or paying for your
Mm-hmm.
seat or paying for a snack. They'll nickel and dime you everywhere except for the cost of the actual flight. So I would
Absolutely.
say in general, flying is so much cheaper. I mean, you're not going to fly from Florence to Milan, right?
Nope.
But you are going to likely fly from Milan to Morocco or Milan to Paris or Milan to Vienna or Paris.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm
If you
saying?
can find a $25 Milan to Rome or wherever, take it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Because like worst case, if plans come up and you can't go or what have you, you can cancel the $40 flight.
Exactly.
Like it's not. It hurts a lot less, I can promise you.
Yeah.
My one trip that I was planning outside of the country was to go to Santorini for St. Patrick's Day, and we canceled it day before and went to Como. Bought the tickets the day
Wow.
we left. No one was in Como. It was beautiful weather. Probably not as beautiful as Santorini, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. But it was fantastic out there. We booked those same day. The cost didn't really look too different as weeks in advance. So I mean, I guess if you're going to travel out of the country, flying is going to be your best option. I think that, yeah, I would say flying, unless you're going to, a country right next
Mm-hmm.
door. In that case, take the train, or really, I guess it depends if you've driven there before, you can drive. I wouldn't suggest it because it's
Mm-hmm.
scary to drive in Italy at the very least, at least for me.
It's very scary. I
Um,
wouldn't. I when I was there, we got a rental car. When I was there just a couple of months ago, we got a rental car, and I am so glad I was not the driver because she figured it out very quickly and she knew what she was doing. But I was like, I can't do this. I'm just gonna look down because I'm scared.
that's fair. That's very fair.
And actually, if anything, don't get a rental car because it's the hardest thing in the world to find parking.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
more
it's
than
not,
anything else.
not worth it.
Okay. When uh about phone plans
Mhm.
on a budget. Did you use an international fee or an international charge? Did you do there's a lot of options like an eSIM or getting a phone card through Vodafone or another company based in Europe. What did you do?
Yeah. So when I first got out there, I believe for the first week or so, because I didn't research kind of which plan would be best onto
Mm-hmm.
where I was going and all that until I kind of had a more set in stone plan.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I use AT&T. I used their roaming plan for like a week, week and a half, um, up until the point where my parents told me to stop, essentially. Fair.
I
Because it is
used the
expensive.
ATM my phone plan, but I was very adamant about making sure my phone was on airplane mode and connected to Wi-Fi at all times, and then just would flip it on to send a text to be like, "Hey, I don't have Wi-Fi, but this is, I made it to my next location," or when I was traveling, especially, for safety wise for my parents. But that was also in the world before too many people had WhatsApp and I was Facebook messaging my parents. So 10 years ago seems like a lifetime in technology.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the WhatsApp point because
Yeah.
WhatsApp, just like Facebook Messenger, just like Instagram Messenger,
Hmm.
just like WeChat, um, you don't need like data for it. You
Yeah.
don't need data to text back and forth. It's all done
Uh-uh.
through Wi-Fi. So if you were to do, like I said, like phone plans, I did
Hmm.
a pay by the month with Vodafone. I
Hmm.
decided that that was the easiest way to do it. It was an eSIM. It took,
Hmm.
5 minutes once I finally got in there, once I finally committed to it.
Hmm.
Um, it
There's a
and
lot
it
of
worked.
eSIMs that you can get online now through an
Yeah,
app that
yeah.
is like $10 a month or something like that. And you'd basically just have to think about it as um use it for like Wi-Fi calling if you're gonna call. Now
Mhm.
so many people just FaceTime anyway, so it's a-okay
Yeah.
either way.
I was gonna say if you
A lot of
have,
people use eSIMs now.
yeah, the eSIM is
Yeah.
the easiest way to do it. I like I remember, I guess I was gonna say this. If you have all of your friends, family, immediate relatives, someone that you're going to message or text, they have an
Mm-hmm.
iPhone, you're not gonna get charged
No.
that overage fee because like between iPhone products, it it's not over. It's over like internet connection.
Yeah.
So, but if you do have friends or whatever, you're gonna actually be texting and that message comes up green. You might be charged, you might be subject to these costs. So that's in terms of budgeting. Think about that. If you don't want to download
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp, if you don't want to use Facebook Messenger, if you don't want to use, the Nintendo Picto chat, you're gonna have to like
It's
look
another
into,
way, yeah.
you're gonna have to look into stuff like that. You're gonna have to think about, wow, is this text gonna cost me $10?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just download WhatsApp, or maybe I need more data. Because a lot of these plans, especially if you do by month, you do by month by how much data you need. So
Yep.
if you know that you're going to be doom scrolling or on TikTok on the bus or in a car, or you
It's
decide that you
also
don't have
a
Wi-Fi,
really great way to get into reading and to get off your phone. But
definitely.
that's just me being in my 30s.
I was going to say I might have been doom scrolling a little bit too much for for a lot
Yeah,
of
I
it,
do
but
it too, so I get it.
yeah,
But yeah, it is a great way to kind of live a little bit more in the moment, because you can't use it because you're trying to budget and you're trying not to use your phone too much. I get it. Well, I don't think we have any other questions.
we have
Should we
one
have
in
a?
the we have
Oh, do
one
we?
in the chat. It looks like.
One in the chat. Oh, the travel advisory one. I
Yeah.
answered it while you
Oh,
checked
did you?
out.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
you were all good. Okay, cool. Well, thank you all for joining today. We're going to be back on live again this afternoon at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. For with another ambassador, we will have Shelby in. Shelby was with us last week in our key tips. She did study in Barcelona, so she's going to share a little bit more about her budgeting tips for that as well. Thank you, Brett, for joining this morning.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it. And yeah, if you want to get into any touch with any of our ambassadors and have any questions specific for them, just let us know and we can get you in touch with them. Or, of course, we can also, you're more than welcome to also all follow all of these people on socials as well and get in touch with them there. Yeah, so that is it for this session. I will see you guys in about 5 hours.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Have a great rest of your day, Brett.
You as well.
Bye.
All right, bye.